AI, singularity, end times, blah, 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 yakety schmackety. Whatever clickbaity title I can come up with for this video. I'm a YouTuber. I don't know what I'm talking about. You shouldn't watch the video. Stop watching, go do something else. Disclaimer, yada, yada, void where prohibitive, that sort of thing. Over the last few years, a boiling frog effect has been going on because we were all distracted, not intentionally, but actually distracted by something obviously seemingly much more important than it really was. We are not allowed to say anything about it on YouTube because merely mentioning it is getting very difficult. Your YouTube video and channel will be given a strike for misinformation of a particular type. And yes, I got a strike this week for reading my strike back, and I kept omitting the actual subject matter, and I still got a channel strike for complaining about the channel strike. At the same time, you might have noticed that Amazon might be doing a few things a little bit strangely. Facebook, Twitter, your Google-powered phone, or your Google-powered copy of Chrome. You all might have noticed that you're suddenly paying attention to these rather minor details and noticing that the frog isn't boiling anymore, we're soaking in it. Things to look up before we go any further. J.J. Luna's How to Be Invisible. There are various revisions to this, but the original work was based on a time when everything about you was starting to transition to the internet. Computers were actually a thing, but they weren't so interconnected that you could hack one and get access to pretty much all of them because they were all running the same fucking software. They weren't yet. It was written back when the major methods for you being able to be found, hence How to Be Invisible, were through physical paper records that someone would have to go dig up, and the most common places to find it. And I can tell you from personal experience that most of this stuff is outdated. Dare I say, obsolete. But if you made your life work that way, you would be quite literally invisible. Because it would take more than a couple of hundred calories worth of effort on someone's part, or a computer, you can convert it to wattage, to go dig that shit up. Hint, hint. So I'm going to tell you about some scenarios to make it to where you have a right to be forgotten. European Union reference. But I want you to understand that every company that writes software to run your computer, or any software to do really anything, is not restricted as far as stealing information, as long as they do something to make it harder to track back to you by a certain increment. It's called sanitizing. Your doctor's office, your dentist's, your insurance company, your bank, and every corporation collects metadata and then sells it. But they collect it in various forms to tailor-make it for people. So what they do is they set up several little fake companies, LLCs, limited liability companies, headed by one of their employees, to all ask for the same data about everybody, but slightly different ways from the same companies. This way, when they checkmark, I won't share this with anybody outside of my company, they have plausible deniability saying, that was what I was told to do. I'm just an agent for the company. And then we deal with, if you're not aware of it, the law firms, lawyers, and lawmakers that you elect made it to how corporations are superhuman. They are immortal. They have more rights than you and I do. They don't have any legal restrictions. That information can be collated by them. Now, see also that no matter what phone you're using, it's running some form of artificial intelligence. All of them are. Unless you go out of your way to find one that does not. Understand that every single AI routine has been found to leak information and be rogue during the period of time we're not allowed to talk about that went on for 3 years now. We're not allowed to, on YouTube, mention what the name of the cause of the last 3 years or so of turmoil, actually it's more like 4, we're not allowed to talk about it. We can't say the words or we get flagged. In fact, me insinuating it, eventually the AI routine will go back through it, flag it anyway. Facebook filters you. Twitter, the AI routine, some people have decided that Elon Musk got scared of the AI routine and turned it off. Other people have said he was totally cooperative with the government. Here's how you filter yourself out of the system, and I'll get it done, and I'll tell you why you need to stop listening to people telling you it's the government or whatever scapegoat and boogeyman. And almost exactly half of you have been conditioned, trained, Pavlov's dog and the bell being rung, to ignore me based on whether or not you think I'm on your side or the opposition, no matter what country you're in. It's not just the United States. Admit it. Half of the sources are something you're going to ignore because you don't like that they voted a certain way or that they talk with a certain accent. This is the criteria that you're filtering. As I've explained, every corporation that has your information sells it in a completely unfiltered way if someone asks for all the different tailor-made versions of it. Or just gets the information a year or two apart, the information will point straight to you. And it will give up way too much information. That's why the AI routine is so good and also so broken. Human beings are better at filtering it. But that's too expensive. Now we go on to the next stage. How do I get out of this? The movie The Matrix original premise was that humanity wasn't acting as a battery to power the AI that became the Matrix. It's that it would rent out space rent-free in your head to run the Matrix. You weren't a battery. You were just another system plugged in, and you were hosting your tormentor in your own mind. Yeah, that would have been very different. That would be a very personal story. You might want to look up the personal histories of the people who created the movie, and then they changed it to us being a power source because that dumbed it down. Every one of you should have noticed that. It's okay if you didn't. It doesn't mean you're less or more smart, depending on whether you got it, because it was obvious to everybody who's a computer geek. No, that's a massively multiplayer game. Or anybody heard of Shariza or LimeWire? You all were hosting it. Ironically, the solution on the internet is that we devote a small portion of our hard drive space to making a new internet that we have power over because we have a fully encrypted archive volume of a piece of it. Which actually is, if you're not aware of it, again, inspiration for the Matrix, part of how the internet was supposed to work. Distributing it in our own cloud. It has a humorous name for it someone came up with, but nobody uses it, so I won't bring it up. But the internal cloud you'd hold on all your computers. You now call it the onion router. So anyway, aside from predictions that happened, by the way, the onion router was created by the U.S. military for secret communications. Let's move forward. How do I get out of this system? The way it used to be. Go to a bank that you've never gone to before, that is not known for selling personally identifiable data, and then lying about it by saying they sanitized it. Walk in and say, I'm a victim of being stalked, and I'm a victim of identity theft. I want to set up an account where you're not able to collect data and then resell it in any way, shape, or form as metadata. Now, you have to write it out on a piece of paper and hand it to the person and say, I'm going to verbalize this and record a conversation. I will use this in a court case to humiliate you publicly if you disobey my demands. This is not, I'm not holding you up. I'm stating I want to set up an account here, and I want you to break every single policy your company has stupidly implemented that makes it to where my information will get leaked, and if possible, show them all the headlines from every other bank having hacks happen. Tell them, I'm not trusting you. You do not deserve my trust, even though by law you're required to be trustworthy. The only way you're trustworthy is if you don't have my information. I'm going to feed you information that's accurate, only the stuff that's legally required. Everything else will follow this format. And your slip of paper will say, I'm not using any of your internet services. You cannot ask for a cell phone. You are required to mark my account as a privacy account. It's the wording used in the European Union, apparently, in various languages. I don't know if they'll do it here, but tell them, I want you to do this like you're a European Union bank, and then say, I know that you have to deal with European Union laws, so pull it up as if I'm a citizen of the EU. And put it all on a piece of paper, something to that effect. Get a lawyer to give you a better version. I'm not an expert anymore. I've never been an expert. That's what I'm saying. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You can't sue me. When you set up this extra bank account, you don't do anything weird in your life. You just switch over to using that bank for everything. Everything is a written check. You no longer use a card through the bank. You get a card, but you never take it anywhere. I'm not going to explain why you shouldn't have it in your pocket when you walk past someone's cell phone. You already know not to do that. Don't bring it up. It's actually happened. Everybody can set up their phone for near field and extend it, and now every single person's carrying a point-of-sale terminal in their pocket. And if you don't think some hacker's going to turn them on and make them do that, you're an idiot. We've all been idiots. Once you set up the other account, it's a paper trail only account. That's what it used to be called a very long time ago, early 90s. And it's paper trail only. This doesn't prevent your information from being grabbed, but if it's paper trail only designation, it's not allowed to be scanned. If you're not aware of it internally, they print everything out. At the top, bottom, and all the corners, depending on the bank, they'll put up a little insignia. It's one of those codes that tells the photocopier, this is money. I'm not kidding. What you do is you put on what's called a constellation dot set. Look it up on Wikipedia. And it tells the photocopier that what was printed out wasn't a document with your information. It's a $15 bill or something like that. There's actually a fake test bill or a $20 bill. Then when they put it on the photocopier, it refuses to photocopy. It won't scan. It's assuming you're trying to duplicate money. This will prevent an employee from doing it. Sometimes they have a page that's literally imprinted with constellation dots that are copies of $20 bills. Ironic, because that's supposed to prevent that. And then it won't print it out. It's invisible to the human eye mostly. But what happens is nobody's going to be able to scan it into the system, and they're going to be lazy. If they try to use their cell phone, yes, your cell phone's designed to recognize it. It won't work unless it gets overridden, usually by a virus. This lowers your likelihood of having the information at this new bank scanned. You then pull all your money and put it into this bank. You don't tell your boss what your bank account is because your boss's company is going to have their computers sell your data. That is what is reality. Once they get to the point they don't have any data, because you inform them, I closed my bank account, I have another bank account, and I'm not giving you my bank account information. I'm not submitting to direct deposit. You're not going to have any access to my life because I am let's say it together, I'm a victim of identity theft and stalking. Because all of you are. And most of you are perpetrators of it because you all have stalked somebody on Facebook and whatever, trying to find out information about them for your own safety. Don't lie, you did it. You know you did. All of you went to that website that let you look up somebody that you knew in high school to see whether or not they got thrown in prison 3 times. All of you have done it. Just shut up. You'd rather admit to porn than admit to that, but you did it. Turning your life into a paper trail is the only way I currently know of to get out of this. And you close down all your social media and start new pages with false data. You were born in January 1st of the year you were born in. The year is the only thing that needs to be accurate, but that's just for age restriction stuff. Everything else has to be falsified. Unless you are under penalty of perjury, do not provide the information and get a lawyer to tell you what is the bare minimum you have to supply for everything. As far as I can tell, except for the federal government, the local government, and a bank, you don't have to tell anybody the truth, and you shouldn't be doing it, and you never should have been. And I have never told any company factual data about me for the entire time I've existed because I read that book I mentioned. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. This is part 1 of I don't know how many videos. Bye.